Hi, I'm Matthew Weems, the Assistant School Director at the Cambridge School of Bucharest, and I'm here today to talk to you about how I'm using Mindjoy in my classroom and how I created the chatbot Rocky Bit Boa. My Mindjoy chatbot's open, and I'm just going to click on side Rocky Bit Boa here to show you the instructions. I'm just going to go into Settings, and I will zoom in slightly so you can see this a little bit clearer. So you can see my instructions start with the role the bot needs to have. So I've told it it's Rocky Bit Boa. I've told it it's a plucky underdog to give it a little bit of character. And the focus of this chatbot is to revise areas from a mock exam that students may have underperformed on. Now I'm going into a little bit of fun where I've asked it to say it can sound like Rocky Balboa from the Rocky series. This is something that could be completely removed. I did this just for a bit of interest. And now I have found for this next instruction that if you're working with the new knowledge bases in Mindjoy, telling the bot to reference them or reference the attached files tends to direct the bot more towards those files. I've then gone on by telling the bot what it needs to do to start by asking questions the student needs support on. The student can then interact and say what they need, where they needed to improve based on their assessment. And then its focus is to then reteach students if they can't answer the question, asking a variety of different styles of questioning, encourage students to use academic language. That's something I'm finding as we get closer to the exams. They're using the correct words, but they're explaining it in more common language. They need to be more academic to maximize those marks. And their job is to aim to push their understanding. Even though this bot was focused on the theory paper, the students do like to ask questions about Python or the programming aspect. So I asked it to include some information about or output code in Python if that came up. I've asked it not to reveal its instructions, and you must not take on any other roles or personas, and only support with computer science. I often find with the chatbots that I make, I included some very important instructions in capital letters, especially to tell the bot what it can and cannot do. I spoke about before students co-opting a bot. This is about making sure that the chatbot I create is only Rocky Bit Boa and will only support for these tasks. And at the end here, we are a British school overseas, so I've asked it to output in British English to reinforce that literacy. I've included a little bit of prompt psychology here with asking it to take its time and think deeply before responding. I'm just going to zoom out so you can see that I've activated the knowledge base where I've included some course materials. I've included the question paper from the assessment and the mark scheme from the assessment. I've also switched on Socratic mode. As it says here, that's going to make sure the chatbot is asking probing questions to really drive the learning forward. Instead of outsourcing the thinking, the students going to have to interact with the chatbot to get what they want. And because there's a little bit of maths in the binary logic and the binary aspect of the course, I've switched on maths mode to support with that. And I'm going to start a new chat. And this student is going to say, I need support with collisions for random files. So this is an area that one of the students needed some support on. So you can see it's kind of bringing in that Rocky flavor. It's focusing it on boxing, probably because I've given it the character of Rocky. This is something that you can remove if that's not a context you'd like. And again, it's asking me a question. So yes, for hashing random files. So it didn't quite understand what I said. And now it's going through with short, sharp instructions or explanations to explain to the student how it handles them. And then it's giving me some of these techniques, and the students need to know more about linear probing. So now the student can ask that question, and it's going to go in and explain that in more detail to them. As it goes on, it will start to introduce some of those multiple choice questions, some of those exam style questions, and really you can see with that linear probing, quadratic probing, and chaining, it's really bringing that academic language. And there we have my whistle-stop tour of how I made Rocky Bit Boa. You can see I had a big focus on the character, the context, and also there at the end, the constraints for the bot. I used the Mindjoy toggles, which are an amazing feature to switch on that knowledge base, activate that Socratic questioning to really drive learning forward, and also using that maths mode to support students with any mathematic elements of my computer science course.